ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Deep-Seated Geek, episode 6. So, as you can see, I'm still in my Lex Luthor getup. That's because I just finished recording the previous episode from last week, and I thought, well, since I'm talking about Comic-Con, why not talk about some comics? So I'm not going to be talking about the uber-popular DC, Marvel, Batman, Avengers kind of comic books that everybody just knows because they're so well ingrained in our minds. What I want to focus on are some comic books that aren't too mainstream, that I think would appeal to a mass audience, okay? So if you think comic books and you think Superman or Spider-Man or even Archie, okay? Those are typically the most popular comic book genres that are going out there right now, and that's what people associate with it. But, much like myself when I started getting back into comic books, I didn't realize that there was this thing called the graphic novel, okay? Now, if you don't know what that is, it's pretty much take any novel that you can think of, say, for example, Stephen King, or Christopher Moore, or Twilight. But imagine those books, and instead of the author writing every description detail that surrounds the area before they do the dialogue, imagine if that was illustrated for you instead. That is a graphic novel, essentially. So, without further ado, I've picked a selection of 5 books that I think would appeal to a wide range of people, and they are by far some of the standouts for me that I consider to be the essential, goodness of comic books. That sounds so ridiculous. Essential goodness of comic books. Winner. But these are my favorites, and I think anytime I recommend these to friends, they love them. So, I'm going to recommend them to you. The first up is my #1 top selection. I recommend this to so many people that every time I do, they fall in love with this book, and I don't have the heart to take it back. So I have bought this book 14 times because I've lent it to people and couldn't bring myself to take it away from them again. The book, of course, is Blankets by Craig Thompson. Now, you may have heard of this book. It's won a bazillion awards. It's talked about in almost every comic circle, and with good reason. All right. Usually, if I can find a little synopsis on these books, I'll read from them. This one doesn't have one, but I'll try and give you the gist of the story without telling too much about it. Basically, the book takes place in the author's early teen years, and his generation is around the 90s, which is great because I can really relate to that because that's the era that I grew up in as well. So it's essentially his first love story, okay? He meets a girl through his Bible camp, and they become friends, and then they build a relationship off of that and everything, and it's a coming-of-age kind of story. The deeper stuff is the relationship he has with his brother, growing up in a semi-abusive family, and kind of dealing with his beliefs against his religious beliefs. So the book is phenomenal, and truth be told, I've had some of my clients at work, they've said that they've taken English courses in university that use this in their syllabus. So I think that says a lot about the book and the quality. The art style, it's funny, it's minimal, but it is so detailed at the same time. I don't know if I should show the actual images on here. I don't want to impose on any copyrights, but I'll tell you what, if you can search Google Images and bring up anything from Craig Thompson or Blankets, you'll see what I mean. His art is cartoonish, but at the same time, the expressions are so vivid on everybody's face. I fell in love with it immediately. After reading 2 pages, I was in. And it's not a small book, it's very thick. But I promise you, once you dive into this, you won't stop until you finish it. You'll call in sick just to finish that book. It's that good. The next one up is kind of similar. It's autobiographical as well. It's a memoir, one of many by this author. And this was the first one I got from Jeffrey Brown called Little Things, okay? Now, it does have a synopsis, so this will say much more about what the book is about, better than I ever could. So, here we go. A collection of funny, poignant, and autobiographical short stories, Little Things looks at the aspects of daily life, friendship, illness, death, work, crushes, love, jealousy, and fatherhood we take for granted. I should really proofread this before I go ahead and start reading it aloud. Anyway, as each story loops into others, Jeffrey Brown shows how the smallest and seemingly most insignificant parts of everyday life can end up becoming the most meaningful. Brown's first full-length autobiographical book in several years, Little Things is also his most impressive, touching, and true. Now, this gentleman, his art style is very minimal, very cartoonish, and the storyline is done up in so many chunks that are totally out of sync, okay? So it's not a story going from beginning to end. It's little peeks into these cute little slices of life, from his life, I should say. And yeah, even though there's not a continuing story throughout the whole thing, the theme and how much you can relate to this book is fantastic. And he's got, I think this is one of 5 or 6 of his books like this. I've got them all. I've never looked back, and they are all so good. I love his work. So there you go. Jeffrey Brown, check him out as well. Next up is, hands down, my favorite comic book series ever written, ever. Just, oh my god, this is the best series. If you're trying to get even slightly interested in comic books, but you're not a superhero fan or anything like that, this is the book for you. Strangers in Paradise by Terry Moore. Okay? I like this book for 2 reasons. Number 1, the art. It's just incredible. The guy has every facial expression and emotion down to a T. You name an expression or a feeling, he can illustrate it in a person's face. It is uncanny. Plus, all the main characters are strong female characters. This is something I'll probably discuss in a future video, where I am struggling to find strong female characters in any kind of medium nowadays. And this book has it all, alright? But enough about me. Let's read what it says here about the book. Kachu, which is this girl, and yes, that wasn't a sneeze, that's her name. Kachu is a beautiful young woman living a quiet life with everything going for her. She's smart, independent, and very much in love with her best friend, Francine. Which is that girl, right there. Then Kachu meets David. I don't have a good picture of David. Alright. A gentle but persistent young man who is determined to win Kachu's heart. The resulting love triangle is a touching comedy of romantic errors until Kachu's former employer comes looking for her and $850,000 in missing mob money. And her idyllic life begins to fall apart. Kachu discovers no one can be trusted, and that the past she thought she left behind now threatens to destroy her and everything she loves, including Francine. This is a series I recommend to a lot of people, and they obsess over it and want to read every single page like it was a soap opera, okay? And truth be told, when I first started reading this series, I got so wrapped up in everything, I didn't want to stop. I actually called into work sick one day. That's right, I lied and called into work sick, just so I could finish reading the book, and I don't regret it. I read this series, I think, once a year. I love it that much. So please, Terry Moore, Strangers in Paradise, check it out. Next on the list, a book series called 100 Bullets by Brian Azzarello, Italians, I swear, Brian Azzarello and Eduardo Rizzo, okay? Let's just read from the back here before I dive into what I like. 100 Bullets, First Shot, Last Call is a provocative tale that's 1 part hard-boiled crime story, 1 part paranoid espionage thriller, all served in a highball with a vertigo twist, shaken, not stirred. How cool is that? Come on! There's so much I love about this book. The art style is very graphic novelish, where it's got a stylized kind of look to it. The colors are minimal. It's got a very noir feel to it, and yeah, if you like anything like The Sopranos or the twists and turns of a story like Lost, this would be definitely for you. And one of the genius things I love about this writer and how he creates his comic books is that there's the foreground storyline that's going on that drives the main characters, but as that's going on, the images that are in the background tell a totally different story at the same time. So you'll be reading about what's supposed to progress the storyline overall, and you'll be witnessing another secondary story behind. Whether it ties into all the events or not, it's up in the air, but the guy wrote 100 issues of this series, and essentially he wrote 200 issues with all the stories that are going on at the same time. It's just an incredible, incredible crime novel. So 100 bullets, check it out. Last but not least, if you are kind of inkling towards the superhero genre but don't necessarily want to do the popular ones that have so much history going on that a jumping on point is near impossible without knowing encyclopedic knowledge of what came before it. Well, here's a book called Planetary by Warren Ellis and John Cassidy. Now, I wish there was a little story synopsis in here that I could... Oh, there is! Ha! Alright, Planetary, this book. This is Planetary. 3 people who walk the world for strangeness and wonder, uncovering things others wish they left covered. I'm having trouble reading right now. They are the mystery archaeologists, explorers of planets' secrets history, charting the unseen borders of a fantastic world. So pretty much there are 3 characters that are the main characters in the book. And yeah, it's just what I said there. They travel around the world picking up lost artifacts of these worlds or wonders that used to be. And it hits every pop culture reference in here, I swear to God. I've seen their own versions of the Justice League show up in the pages, the Fantastic Four, references to Godzilla and all the crazy Universal monsters, Dracula, Sherlock Holmes, Kung Fu Hong Kong movies, you know, they're all in here. They're referenced in a very beautiful way. The art, this artist is probably my favorite artist in popular comic books nowadays. John Cassidy, he's just fantastic. He did a run on Astonishing X-Men, which is, in my opinion, the best X-Men story that's ever come and gone. And the writer, he just blends everything so beautifully. Like, if you're one of those people who likes to think back on nostalgic things, you know, if you're one of these people who goes to Comic-Con and can pinpoint all the toys and all the references that you grew up with, this is a book you must read. I can't recommend it enough. I can't recommend all these books half as much as I already have been, you know. Did that make sense? I don't know. When I do these random ones, I don't really think about what I say. I just kind of and see what happens. So there are 5 books. By all means, check them out. I think they're well worth your time to read. If there are any comic books that you, the viewer, think that needs to be on this list as well, please. That's what the comments section below is for. List any and all books. I like reading new material, so please suggest some for me and for the viewers at home. And if you like this video, please hit like. If you want to share it with some other people, please hit share. If you want to see more content as it comes out, hit the subscribe button up top. And with that, thanks for watching Deep City Geek. We'll see you next time.